Talking fishing, nothing but fishing for talking fishing. If it's facts about fishing that you want to know, then tune in, folks, cause this is the show. We'll show you all the right bait to use, so sit right back, you got nothing to lose. Doesn't really matter if it's trout or carp, flathead, marlin or a gummy shark. Listen to the guys and you can't go wrong. They'll be talking about fishing till the cows come home. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Welcome everyone to Talking Fishing. Time to celebrate with the bay temperature finally hitting the magical 18 degrees mark. Cod season is open and the state election is done and dusted. And can I say, a very nice list of promises for Fisheries Victoria to get on with now. A big show coming to you tonight with all the regular segments plus Geoff Scott, a man who just loves Toolondo Reservoir. He joins us in the studio to talk about how the new Victorian government must step in right now and get some water flowing in Toolondo. It's absolutely urgent. Adam Ring, as always, great to see you, mate. Plenty of snapper around at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like the snapper is celebrating the 18 degree mark as well, and they're biting very well at the moment.
Morning or afternoon's the best at the moment?
Morning definitely still.
Yep.
I think especially up the peninsula side where we are there, the mornings are still the good.
I reckon that just flicked over when I decided to do an afternoon fish last week. So anyway, that's the way it is. And Trelly, I know it's only 2 days into cod season, but you must be just going, yes, it's here.
They're often swimming.
Yeah.
Not waiting for a tide.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah. So tell me, being based in Shepparton, are the reports starting to come in already? Have they got them on the barbecue already? It's it's only 2 days in.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're out there. The guys are sort of waiting for this weekend. There's a lot of fishing going to go on this weekend, but the guys, the keen guys, are out.
Yeah. Yep. Just a question: should cod opening start on the 1st of December or a weekend of the first weekend of December?
Yeah,
has that ever been debated? Because I've got no idea.
I don't think it has.
No.
I don't mind it being the 1st of December because you can actually organise yourself. You've got a whole year to do it.
Yeah.
So it's an event.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the trout opening and closing is done by weekends?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So it opens on a weekend, opens on Saturday morning or midnight Friday night actually, and then it closes I think on the Monday of the long weekend. Would I be right?
Yeah, so it does give you the full weekend both sides.
Just something that came into mind just then. But, I just think you go, Monday it's cod opening, and you probably don't get a lot until the weekend. But anyway.
It means that us country guys can get a couple of days on you city guys are going to come up on the weekend.
Yeah. And from what I've experienced in the country, every day's a weekend.
That's a winner.
Let's get back on the snapper ads. Some big fish and some, 1.5 kilo fish around this week as well.
Yeah, that's right, I guess.
Real mix now.
Yeah, now that we're into the 18 degree water, a lot of the pinkies have started to school, which a lot of people go, here we go, the razor gang's back out. But not a bad thing considering how, I guess, touch and go the season's been so far. But I reckon this weekend coming, and I guess for the rest of December, even into January, we'll start seeing those cricket score snapper catches, which we've probably been accustomed to in November.
Yeah.
It is 18 degrees now. It's staying at a consistent 18 degrees now, and things are going to go crazy. And I know it's hard to stay on the snapper with the whiting reports being just as thick now, and it's been an absolute cracker of a start to a whiting season. But just don't forget about the snapper yet, because I think the best is still definitely on its way.
The other thing adds is the bycatch. Some big flathead again. You'll see that in Catch of the Week come out very, very shortly. But some beautiful flathead, some beautiful gummy shark around.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess a lot of people forget about the bycatch, in particular when we talk about Port Phillip Bay. Western Port, I guess you'll take it. If you go out snapper fishing and catch a gummy, you just tell everyone you're gummy fishing because they're hand in hand. But in Port Phillip, a little bit of a different story. And I know that right down the southern end of the bay especially, they're getting that nice, I guess, Western Port mix of snapper and gummies on the same marks.
The state election, boys, it's done and dusted, and I think, Trello, you're the political man, but I think most seats are now settled in Victoria and we've got a clear leader. And like I said in the intro, a great list of things that Fisheries Victoria now have to implement under the new government, and we'll talk about those. We'll actually go through all those later on in the program. But tonight we're really going to talk about Toolondo a fair bit because now that we have got some new direction, there needs to be some government intervention if this place is going to last through this summer. And look, I don't think anyone's asking for water if there's drought, but it's not that situation yet. There's been money. There's been water offered at a price We know it's there. We want some political intervention to get it, and let's get it through this summer. And one step at a time. Let's get Toolondo back on track if we can.
I think that's why this issue is such a hot topic. I mean, we can accept drought. We've been through it before.
Yeah.
We know there's not much that can really be done, but the fact of the matter is the water is there and ready to go, and we just can't work out why it's not being let in there. And I think that's why this is such a controversial issue.
So the closest town to Toolondo is Horsham. So I mean, it must be a huge as far as pulling people to Horsham.
Definitely.
And, the economy benefiting out of something.
Absolutely. We're going to hear all about that. Geoff Scott joining us after the first break. But boys, time to check what's being caught by the people at home. Let's have a look at some of the catches of the week. Now, the first one up, boys, Brodie Hillbrick, a beautiful 67 centimetre flathead off the Hastings Pier. Thank you very much.
These are always the most exciting catches as far as I'm concerned, because a lot of people don't associate land-based fishing with, I guess, big fish.
Yeah.
67 centimetres of flatty, that's as good as anything.
Mid-tide on a soft plastic irregular, and he was just stoked. First fish on a soft plastic.
And it couldn't have been caught in that much water, because mid-tide in Western Port with a soft plastic, trying to get that bad boy to the bottom is always tough.
Well,
but
it's Hastings Pier, so it'd be a little bit stagnant there. But what a great catch. And as we said, plenty of really good bycatch. Trelly, we're going to take it in turns tonight. Who's the second catch of the
Second, we've got Agostino Cascudano.
Very well said.
A nice gummy shark off reel. Now, this is what size do you reckon that one would be?
Oh, what's that, a 3 or 4 kilo, I reckon?
Yeah.
Nice eating size.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
right.
And apologies, Agostino, but Trelly is married to an Italian, lovely Mary, and he just said that much better than I would have said that. So a lovely gummy shark off reel. Number 3, Lockie O'Reilly with a 73 centimetre snapper off silver leaves. We've spoken about silver leaves in the last couple of weeks as being a real hot spot at the moment.
And don't you worry about Western Port. It still refuses to be outshone by Port Phillip at the moment. When the numbers start coming on in Port Phillip and the fish get bigger in Western Port, we're not a bad place to be at the moment, really.
Absolutely. And we might be all over the place tonight, which we are.
Yeah.
Dramana. Let's go next. Marley Wilson with a 5 kilo snapper off Dramana. So
that's how good the fishing is. That's how good the fishing is. We can afford to be all over the place for catch of the week this week. So, it's what we've lacked in numbers. 5 kilos is, I guess, the average size fish there at the moment.
Got to be happy with that.
And that's not to take anything away from
the fish. You talk this magic mark with this temperature. How long does that last for? This temperature goes through to March, does it?
Yeah, the temperature will probably actually get a little bit warm, Charlie. So it'll go through. Last year it peaked in February. I was looking at the graphs. Year before peaked in about March, and it'll get up to 22, 23 degrees in parts of the bay. May even get to 24. But it'll get to a point, probably late December when it gets that 20. The fish do go deep, a little bit harder to fish, and then come good again on the decline. When those fish are just getting a little bit, it's a bit cooler again, and they get a bit more active.
This is definitely the start.
Just less finicky. So let's move on to the next one. Annie Harvey, little 9-year-old from Deniliquin with a beautiful Murray cod. Caught on Sunday, and it went straight back in the water after a beautiful photo, but they were out just getting ready and trying to get some yellow belly, and it was just a fantastic catch, little Annie there. You've got to be absolutely wrapped. See the smile on her face. Isn't it good to see the kids into it?
Yeah, you can't put a price on the smile on the kid's face, can you?
No, you can't. And
the sister's behind there looks like just as big a smile.
And Annie's mum and dad sent us a little video, which I didn't show, but just absolutely fantastic. The excitement in her voice catching a fish like that was just fantastic. And just another little surprise, you never know when they're going to turn up, is off Carrum, Dana Lim, a beautiful gummy. Fishing on board Think Big fishing charters with Sean Fertier. What an absolute surprise off Carrum.
I was going to say, Sean's a bit of a gummy magnet anyway, but
you've got to be
to
damn
put one
good
on
to
the
get something
snapper
like
grounds out of Carrum, and it's not a small gummy either.
And it doesn't look as if it's at night or anything.
No, middle of the day.
Cracker bycatch.
That earlier one I'd say was like a 6-plate gummy. This one's like a 15-plate gummy.
Charlie, unless it was in your household, it'd be about 3.5, I reckon.
I don't know how I convert that to plates. Anyway, I just do that.
But we'll roll with it. Yeah, we'll roll with it.
Look, some absolutely great fish there. But I'll tell you what, if you'd like to send us in a pic of your catch of the week, make sure you give us your full name and location, and this is what you have to do.
If you want to be like me and have your photo on TV, email your fishing pic to info@ifish.com.au.
Coming up on Talking Fishing, product of the week of a different kind. And we talk with Geoff Scott about water in Toolondo right after this.
Talking fishing. Talking Talking Fishing.
And welcome back to Talking Fishing. Now, product of the week, I said it of a different kind. A few weeks ago, we talked all about the different styles of fishing knives. And one of the key things with fishing knives is it's got to be sharp. Trelly, you're over there in the little corner. We've thrown you in the corner of the studio.
That's it.
And you're going to demonstrate how to get knives sharp with a commercial knife sharpener, I guess.
Electric sharpener.
And can I just say, in all good tackle shops, if you go in there, they'll sharpen your knives for you. It might cost you a couple of dollars, but they'll sharpen your knives for you. Over to you, Trelly.
No worries. All right. This particular electric knife sharpener's got 3 different stages in it. So we see the first one is a very coarse one, the middle one is a medium one, and then the final one is a touch-up stage. So the first one's really there to take those big shoulders off knives that haven't been sharpened for quite some time. So I'll just turn this on and you'll hear the actual process of when I pull this blade through. So this is your first stage. Now, like I say, that particular stage will take the big edges off or the big shoulders off it. The second stage here, which is a medium one, that's probably just more your maintenance stage. So that one there you'll use more often, and that will just keep an edge on your blade. After using that particular stage, sometimes you'll find there's a little bit of a lip on the side of the blade. So the last stage there, which is your fine blade, that will actually take that little bit of a lip off the side, which is which leaves you with that really nice sharp edge. So first one, the shoulders. Second one's the medium cut, which prepares your blade then for the final cut. So that middle blade there. Now, as you use these, what you've got to look for is maintaining a nice flat edge with the actual spinning disc that works around there. So I won't turn it on, but by applying a little bit of pressure, it falls into the actual position quite well. Applying a little bit of pressure to the front of the knife and make a nice smooth stroke right through the whole length of the knife. Now, as you do that, you just lift the back of the knife, so you're actually getting a nice flat edge to the blade contact there. And the last stage, like I say, that one comes down there. You may have to use 2 or 3 strokes on each side, remembering just to take any fat off or anything like that before you use these. Obviously that clogs your little stones that are working for you in there. Another thing to do too is when you're actually filleting fish, it's a good idea to have like a diamond stone, like that type of thing. Oval shape I find is the best. I find it the easiest to use. Even makes guys like me who can't particularly sharpen knives that well, it works for me. So just between fillets, a nice quick touch up there with your knife like that works really, really well. Nothing worse than actually catching a nice flathead or a nice fish. You've got a blunt knife, you take that nice fillet off, and then you find you've actually left a lot of flesh on the fillet itself, or you've left a lot of flesh on the actual frame itself. So by having nice sharp knives, maintaining them, like I say, David said, you can drop them into the shops, and while you go and have a cup of coffee or whatever, they can be sharpened on the spot, or come back later on and pick them up. It only costs you a few dollars, and for a lot of those big knives, take the shoulders off, get them all ready to go.
Well done, Trelly, and like I said, any good tackle shop, take your knives in and they'll do them for you. Nothing more important, I reckon, right now than, when the snapper on, you're cutting through, potentially thick flesh, a few bones along the way. Then you're going to get into the flathead season, the whiting season, that sort of stuff. So really important. Well done, Trelly, and that's how you do it. That's how we do it in the shops. So
yep, exactly.
And Trelly owns half the tackle stores in Victoria, so you can go into one of his and get them pretty easily done. So, all right. Boys, we're going to talk about Lake Toolondo, because if there's one thing that Daniel Andrews can do, and I'm not saying that he hasn't got anything else to do because he's got a lot on his plate, he is doing the media pretty well. I was listening to him on 3AW tonight, coming in and talking about football and the stadium in Ballarat, the work down at Geelong Skilled Stadium, whatever they want to call it. But if there was a couple of things that need to be done in fishing, it's helped this man out here, Geoff Scott, because Geoff is an absolute lover of Toolondo Reservoir. A lot of people call it Lake Toolondo, Geoff. Yeah. And if there's anything you can do right now, the urgency, the number one urgent thing is get some water into Lake Toolondo, because it's needed. It just needs a metre of water. It'll get it through summer. If we can get Lake Toolondo through summer, like I said earlier on the program, it won't save a drought. It's not going to stop a drought. If there's a drought next year, then everyone's just got to go, well, we did our best. But Geoff, You've been going there for years, haven't you?
Oh, I've been going there best part of 30 years, Dave. But this is really critical now. It's a couple of minutes to midnight as far as Toolondo is concerned.
Yeah. You've got a property down there which you use for your holidays.
Yeah.
Been going down there for probably half your lifetime.
Yeah.
Start wherever you want to start. Tell us a bit about what Toolondo means to you.
Okay.
Wherever you want to start.
Well, first thing I like to do is just point out that I'm only one member of the Toolondo Reservoir Group.
Yep.
This was a bit of a motley crew that started off about 2 years ago when it became obvious that the lake was getting, well, not managed real well.
Yeah.
And just from a few people now, there's tad under 2,000 members on the Facebook page now. So it's had a lot of support. And I don't want to embarrass you, Dave, but on behalf of the entire group, I'd just like to thank you for your continued support. You've done a brilliant job, and without your support, we'd be right behind the 8 ball now because it would have been shoved under the carpet.
I wouldn't say behind the 8 ball because there is, like you said, a lot of good people out there battling the battle, and I'm just, in a fortunate position with a 3RW radio program and now talking fishing on C31. It's a damn important thing, and if people don't get, Geoff, that this is not just important to the people of Horsham or the people that live the immediate surrounds of Lake Toolondo. This is important to Victoria. In fact, probably Australia, because it's got to be one of the premier trout fisheries, doesn't it?
Oh, it's without a doubt. In its heyday, people came from all over the world.
Yeah.
People came from New Zealand to fish Toolondo.
Wow.
In its heyday, the Barton Shield, which was the annual fishing competition, it had 600 people start in it.
Yeah.
It was worth millions of dollars to the area. And that's a frustrating point with it now. For $400,000 or $500,000, what if it's the figures quoted now something they estimate around 35 million? Back in those days, it was 25 million.
Yeah.
Well, what if it's only 10 million? What if it's only 5 million? They've got to put 450.
What happens if it's only 500,000?
Exactly.
It's worth doing. It's kids in jobs. It's accommodation. It's people's livelihoods.
Oh, people buying four-wheel drives, people buying boats, getting the outboard service, petrol, food, grog, accommodation, counter meals at the local pub, all that stuff all kicks in. You get some clown on there saying, oh, there's only 6 boats and 6 cars in the car park the other day. How does that compute to $30 million? They just don't see the big picture.
No. And you've obviously seen it through its heyday and to where it is now. Did you want to read a little bit of a thing out there from Tash, who's one of the members on Facebook?
I would love to.
Have you got your glasses?
Tash, no, I don't need them.
Don't need them? Not like me.
Yeah.
Good eyes.
Now, young Tash, I don't know exact age, she'd be 20, 21.
Yeah.
She's a terrific young girl. She lives virtually on the lake shore. She, a couple of weeks ago, she wrote a fairly impassioned post on the site, and a number of us actually encouraged her to go and take it to the papers. She even tried to ring up a couple of talkback shows, Neil Mitchell, yeah, him and all that. She tried to contact them, didn't get a reply from anybody. They didn't see it as newsworthy enough to print it. But this is not the entire thing, but this is where the young people in the group are coming from. She's got lots of young friends. They go out there, they fish hard. She's a brilliant little fisherman. She's out there, and not just fishing. They go water skiing and wave riding and all the rest of it, and have picnics and barbecues. But this is just the final paragraph or so from her article. And this is how a young person views the lake. This is how a young person feels about the lake, okay? This beautiful lake isn't just my home. It's made me the person I am today. A strong-minded, sporty girl that is very passionate about the environment and specifically protective of this lake. For a normal person my age, a weekend consists of parties, alcohol, and unfortunately drugs and devastation. However, this beautiful place has given me the choice and the opportunity to make smarter and healthier decisions. My weekend consists of changing lures, getting birds' nests in my reel, catching and losing massive fish, creating memories with my friends and family. On a hot day, people are thirsty, and I'd much rather fall off my wakeboard and swallow a mouthful of now greenish water than be swallowing a substance that could have a significant impact on my life. Don't let this lake die. Give our country kids the opportunity to make smarter decisions, because it's simple. If we don't have this lake, then what do you expect us to do? No more beach cricket, no family barbecues, only mistakes made, not memories. Help us create a healthier generation who have a place to learn about life experience and give them the opportunity to be passionate about something that'll never let them down. And that's from a 20-year-old girl.
It sums it up, boys, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it really does.
You don't need to tell me about kids in trouble with some of those things because I've experienced it firsthand.
Yeah. Another aspect of that, prior to the election, all the parties were banging on about, the importance of our kids' future and issues like, high youth unemployment, particularly in regional and rural areas. Well, Toolondo, a quarter full, stocked with the fish. Well, that'll provide all that. It ticks all the boxes. And as you say, even if the return on the $450,000 worth of water was only break even,
it's still worth it.
If there's 20 kids off the dole, if there's half a dozen little jobs created around town, even if it's just some kitchen hand in the local pub serving up the counter teas to the fishermen or grabbing the ice and stocking the ice machine, that's
it's
what
something, isn't it?
Exactly.
Geoff, how did it end up in the position it is now? And the answer is not drought, because it could have been a different situation.
Well, it was basically mismanagement.
Yep.
I've got to tell you a bit of a story. I was out in the lake about 4 or 5 months ago. I was sitting out there with my dog and in the background having a little radio going. I caught a couple of fish and life was pretty happy. And then all of a sudden, I heard the radio. The previous water minister was getting interviewed. And I got to tell you that the absolute arrogance of this guy that came across, he was just demeaning, and virtually everything he said proved he had no real clue about what. And he's the water minister. He's also the fisheries minister.
Yep.
And the thing that really got to me most was he concluded with when the little guy was interviewing sort of backed him into a bit of a corner. He said, and this is a really thing that made me feel physically sick. He said, if it goes dry and everything dies, we'll just chuck some more water in it. We'll chuck in a few more fish, and we'll get a fishery again. I mean, the guy sounds like he's mixing a cake. Chuck in some water, stir it up. That attitude. The whole reason was the lake's in Lowen, he's in Swan Hill, both very strong seats. They didn't have a snowball's hope of losing either of them. No votes. The lake is inconsequential to them, and so is public opinion. They didn't care. Mm-hmm. That's why it's where it is.
It's a pretty sad situation, and like I said earlier on, now is the time. Daniel Andrews and whoever is the new Fisheries Minister, and perhaps even the new Water Minister, needs to step in and go, we need to do something about this, because it's people like Geoff that have loved it all their lives, and it is people like Tash that you hear that heartwarming story about the effect something like that has on people's lives when there's not a lot else to do. Up next, fisheries news and plenty more to discuss with Geoff Scott about getting some water into Toolondo. We'll see you after this.
Talking fishing. Talking fishing.
And now it's time for the news. The fisheries news. Sounds a bit fishy to me.
And yes, it is time for some fisheries news. Not a lot, as we said last week. The whole government election type thing just slows down the news that's coming out, but I'm sure we're only weeks away from some really good news starting to come out. But let's just change the subject a little bit. One that came out from Senator the Honourable Richard Colbeck, who is the Parliamentary Secretary for the Minister for Agriculture at a federal level. The headline is Southern Bluefin Tuna Well Managed and Sustainable. Australia's southern bluefin tuna industry, and I know we're talking about the commercial industry, is set for its best season in more than 2 decades, with the total catch limit increased by almost 10% for the 2014-15, which started yesterday. So that's good news, because over the last few years, I reckon that southern bluefin tuna fishery has been at real risk. You had the international body saying to Australia, you need to declare what your recreational catch is.
Been under the spotlight.
And good on Victorian fisheries, because they went and did some survey work and put in an estimate on behalf of Australia. So, and I think all that honesty that went into providing those numbers has ended up with an outcome that says, the commercials are allowed to take another near 10% more. So
isn't it, really?
It is, and look, they've had to go through some tough times, but and just some figures here. Look, just to people may not know this, around 96% of Australia's southern bluefin tuna quota is taken by about 5 purse seine vessels fishing in the Great Australian Bight, and they're grown out in marine farms adjacent to Port Lincoln, South Australia. Nearly all of Australia's SBT harvested is exported to Japan. So that's all good news for fishing, I can tell you. And the second one out, which is about someone who we had on the couch here 2 weeks ago, Jacinta Allen. The Victorian Labor Party will hold a caucus meeting on Wednesday to decide cabinet members, and will pick portfolio positions on Thursday. So the tip is that Jacinta Allen may not be the new Minister for Fisheries. She's seen as a fairly senior person in government, and whether they feel there's a bigger role for her, or
Perhaps
they put
finance. We need the money.
Well, we need the money. What about water? Who knows? But whoever we end up, we look forward to working with them, and I guess we'll know by next Thursday. So it is good. But I can tell you the Victorian Farmers Federation are crying out for Jacinta, because they just want a good person looking after the farmers. So that's the news. Geoff, let's get back onto Toolondo. I just want you to tell me about the fish, because the fish, after the last drought, they didn't go until I think 2011, 12, somewhere in there. What have you seen from the size of the fish that you've caught since that time?
Well, the main thing with Toolondo is it's got such a unique ecosystem, and it supports growth rates that are unprecedented, not only in Australia, but anywhere in the world. There were fish put in there a couple of years ago now, and 2 or 3 months ago my son-in-law pulled in excess of 4-pound big buck brown out of there, a magnificent big fish. The sad part was him, I had to then inform him that he'll probably spend the rest of his life trying to catch one bigger or better. And it ain't going to happen.
And it might be Toolondo.
What are we going to do now?
I'll give him the word. Now, that fish went tad over 9 pound on the old scale.
Wow.
Now, that fish was that long when I put it in.
Yeah. So, like you said, you wouldn't get that growth rate anywhere in the world, would you?
No,
2 years.
nowhere.
2 years.
Phenomenal.
And this is a frustrating thing. If a situation or a venue or an impoundment like Toolondo, if that was down in Tasmania, if that was in New Zealand, if that was in Northern America, if that was anywhere, then a smart government or smart water authorities would protect it like there's no tomorrow. A thing like that is worth millions. If
Toolondo with fish like that was in New Zealand or Tasmania or America, there'd be international TV commercials about it.
Exactly.
And that's right.
When what are we doing? Nothing.
That's right. Waiting for it to dry up.
The guys would be charging you $5,000 a day to go out there.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. And this was the whole thing with getting back to the previous water minister. It was the level of his indifference was mind blowing.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, we'll just chuck in a few more fish over." What he failed to realise was the fact that, like, in Toolondo right now, there's probably about 70,000 potential trophy trout.
Yeah.
70, they're all going to die. There's probably a couple of 100,000 redfin in there. There's turtles, there's the mud-eyes, there's gudgeon, there's minnows, there's water snails, there's everything, and that's what makes that's what powers the entire system. Well, all those things are going to be washed up on the bank, the water's going to turn putrid, and there's going to be carcasses everywhere. Yeah. Why not keep the resource as it is now? His thinking is 2 or 3 or 4 years down the track to get it back to where it is now. Takes $400,000 worth of water, and it's sitting there at the channel. It's been sitting in the channel for 8 weeks. It's been going straight past the front door. It comes down from Rocklands into the channel, under the bridge, tries to get into Toolondo through natural fall. The gate's shut, so it goes back under the road and goes north. It goes to Green Lake, it goes to Taylor's Lake, goes to God knows where it goes. 8 weeks that's been there, and this was one of Walsh's main arguments. He said, "Oh no, it takes too much to power up the channel." Well, the channel's full. It's been full for 8 weeks. 1 week of what's been going out, the flow, and don't get me going on environmental flows, but just this flow on the channel now, right, that would have put enough water in to get us through this summer. And it's at the gate. It just needs to open the gate.
Adam, you want to make a comment? You've got less than a minute, I'm sorry.
Well, this is more, politics aside, this is more than that. When we read a snippet from a young woman who's grown up on the lake, that almost brings our host in David Kramer to tears, because he can relate to the way that this young lady has grown up and the choices that she's had because of this one little body of water. Exactly. This is more than politics. So this is where everyone thinks we're just banging on about politics again. This is more
livelihoods.
than that. This
Yes,
is more than
people's
that.
lives,
You've
it's
got a young
lifestyle.
lady who can't grow up the way that she wants to grow up, and her kids down the track won't get that opportunity. I won't be able to take my kids there. We're talking about a place where, even disregard fishing. People think we're three fishermen just banging on about a bit of water, we can go and catch a trophy fish. It's more than that. It's about relating to life, relating to something that, you know, can help our young people with all the distractions that there are these days to grow up having fun in a safe way.
Exactly.
One kid on ice would probably cost the government $450,000 to put them through life.
Exactly
Yeah.
right.
So
This
you
is
look at
more
the
than
whole
politics.
ecosystem and lifestyle.
Yeah, this is more than politics.
Boys, we're going to come back to it. Kramer's mailbag up next, and we talk a lot of things. Toolondo, fisheries. We'll be back after this.
Talking fishing. Talking fishing.
And a couple of quick mailbags back into Toolondo very, very shortly, Geoff, but I'll get into them. Hi again, David. This is from Neil McFarlane of Drew, and keep the great and informative show rolling along, an excellent hour's viewing. Appreciate the comments there. I sent you an email last week, and in it I mentioned Brendan Wing and Ufish, wondering why he isn't now part of the regular fishing shows on C31. The same query applies to Jason Kennedy's fishing show. Will they be featured anywhere in future programming, or is something amiss regarding their participation? Definitely not. And I spoke to Brendan Wing during the week, or sorry, earlier this week, yesterday I think. Lost track of the days, there's that much on at the moment, and Brendan will be back 2015, definitely. These things just run in series. I think they go in, I mean, we're very, very lucky. We're on 29 weeks and right through to the end of April, but a lot of these shows that are pre-recorded go for about a 13-week season, then they might have a break for the 13 weeks and they're back on and so forth. Bit of a cycle. So Brendan and the crew will be definitely back. Not sure about Jason, haven't spoken to him. Next one, hi Kramer. When fishing for whiting, I've seen that people will keep an undersized fish in a live bait tank on their boat and release when moving on so they don't spook the school during a hot bite, which is
Illegal.
illegal. If fisheries found you on the water to have undersized fish in a live bait tank, could you find yourself in trouble? Only deep trouble, I would say.
Definitely. Yes.
Definitely. And I mean, a fish can spook. You know, like if you drop a whiting, you can spook the school. People know that. It is illegal to keep an undersized fish in your tank, I can tell you. So don't do it. It's not worth the fine.
Same thing to upgrade too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Very quickly, if you'd like to write to me, all these blokes, this is what you have to do.
Send your mail to Kramer's Mailbag, PO Box 734, Patterson Lakes, Victoria 3197, or email kramer@ifish.com.au.
And I just reached over and got my bit of paper. That was quick because I
Just
forgot to
in time.
get my little bit of paper. Geoff, very quickly, what needs to be done now in Lake Toolondo?
Well,
Or Toolondo Reservoir, for that matter.
well, as I said before, the time's critical. The water's at the gate. There's only one thing going to solve its problems. It needs about a metre of water in there now.
Yep.
That 5,000 megalitre that's been mentioned would be absolutely beautiful. We're not asking for it to be filled. Just open the gate up for a week and give it some respite. Give the fish a chance
Through
to
summer.
get through this summer. That's what it needs, and then all the people behind the scenes and the politicians and the water mob can sit there and work out something that's sustainable down the track. But it needs the water now.
It means so much to a lot of people, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Yeah. Boys, we did say the election's done and dusted, and there's a fair list of things that have got to be now rolled out by Fisheries Victoria, I guess under the guidance of a new minister who will be announced tomorrow. But I just thought we'd do a little exercise. We've got 3 or 4 minutes. Let's score it out of 10. How urgent? How do they need to do it right now? Okay, I'm going to reel them off. Phase out commercial netting. Trelly, out of 10.
I think that's up there in the top 2 or 3, and it'd be really good to see them come back to a 4-year, because 8 years is we're going to see another parliament pass. Are they going to be in power then?
It's good that you precisely scored it out of 10. That was good to hear.
Is it 10 being urgent?
10 being urgent.
10.
Yeah.
I think it's the big promise, isn't it? So it has to be. Jeff, what do you reckon?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you only got to look what it was controversial at the time, but phasing out the scallop dredging, and look what's happened. We're reaping the
Changed
rewards
the world,
of that
didn't
now.
it? All right, all fishing clubs will be eligible for $2,000 grant to promote membership and fishing in their area. How urgent?
I'd give it a solid 7.
Yeah.
It's probably not
Fishing
crucial.
clubs are struggling, there's no doubt.
Yeah, that's right.
They're struggling for numbers.
And this is going to help some of the other promises they've got there as well. So, it's up there.
And one of the things is they want 1 million people fishing by 2020. Yep. If they get people in the clubs, they introduce new people. Trelly, what do you reckon out of 10?
Yeah, I think I'm saying with Adam because it's something that has to be rolled out in the proper way.
Yep.
No good just throwing money at it. It's got to be properly managed. Which is
Trelly's doing well. He's sat on the fence and didn't give a score. Now he's gone to the same as that. Jeff, what do you reckon out of 10?
I don't know what the score is, but I know that if there's no water in the lake, then people can't go fishing anyway.
Yeah, no worries. They're going to increase stocking from 3 million to 5 million. And that's not just in Toolondo, Jeff. We might skip on to a couple. 15,000 Barramundi to Hazelwood Pondage. How urgent, how good would that be?
10, purely for selfish reasons. I've got 2 bait casters sitting at home that I don't use. I want to go and catch a barra in Victoria.
I think it's a bit of a no-brainer because, as you said, Dave, all the boxes have been ticked.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. It's just good. It's
ready to go.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Jeff, what do you reckon of Barramundi and Hazelwood Pondage? Would you go there?
Oh, I don't know. I might grab a few out and chuck them in Toolondo. So I go there.
It's probably warm enough. That's a sad
probably
thing.
do the same thing for Morwell as it would do for.
Well, exactly. We've just spoken about all that, and I reckon Morwell is in. They've had their problems. Not going to say anything else. They've had their problems, and this would get kids out doing something in Morwell. It'd be fantastic. Where's the next one? Trout cod fisheries in Beechworth. Trelly. Get
if
them
it's
going
sustainable,
for recreational. Well, they're stocked.
Yeah.
It'd be a put and take fishery, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, that's right. But I mean, I think I'm not too sure if it's actually got its own ecosystem as far as the breeding goes there.
I was up at Snobs Creek because I do sit on the advisory board there with fisheries, and I was up there during the week, and there's plenty of trout cod.
Yeah, so, if it's sustainable, look, I'd tick the box, don't worry.
Yeah, okay. Fish cleaning tables, boys. Jeff, you've been around a long time. Fish cleaning tables at boat ramps. What do you reckon?
Oh yeah,
it's dumb that we haven't got them, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is.
Don't get you started.
don't get me started. Yeah.
Adam.
I think that's an 8 or 9 because I think that's something a lot of fishers have been crying for a long time. So
they're going to be busy, aren't they?
They're going to be very busy
because you can't fillet your fish and throw it out while you're waiting for your boat to go on the trailer, can you?
Yeah, no.
No.
So
only if you want the 300 people in the queue to yell at you.
Yeah, that's right. So that means that obviously that's a no-brainer as far as.
And you go to New South Wales. And every boat ramp virtually.
Works of art.
And it's not a secret. I've been going in Narooma for 25 years. There's 4 boat ramps in town.
Yeah.
Every single one of them has got a fish cleaning table. Even the worst boat ramp in town has got running water, lighting, and a fish cleaning table.
And boat washing facilities. The whole shebang.
And you know what it cost me to launch there every time I launch, Jeff?
Zero.
Nothing.
Yeah, that'd be right.
It's we've got a way to go.
Try getting in Warneed at the moment.
Yeah. Fish aggregating devices. How urgent? Would you like to see them?
I'd love to see them.
Yeah.
It's probably not the most urgent thing on the list, but
eventually,
in
4 years
that's
time.
right. Eventually,
explain aggravating to the audience.
You. Aggregating, actually. It should be, I think. Aggregating. So it's virtually a big buoy on the surface. Might be in, say, 150 metres of water. Big rope down to the big anchor, and it virtually provides something that certain species, i.e. mahi-mahi, will be attracted to, and they just swim round and you go out to them.
Okay, now I know the question.
At least you didn't forget halfway through.
They've got them in New South Wales, Trelly, all along the coast. They put the GPS marks on the fisheries website. They pull them out. They have a full maintenance program where they pull them out, scrub them down, replace the ropes, put them back in, put the new GPS marks on. It's absolutely brilliant. No-brainer. Get it done in the next 4 years, I say. And review to establish Fisheries Victoria as a statutory authority.
10. Should have been done already.
I think it's a 10. I think it should be modelled on the New Zealand model, which is very, very successful. The Game Authority has actually already done in Victoria underneath that. It could come in underneath that same umbrella. It would cost the government very little to implement that.
So just extend the Game Authority.
Exactly.
The thing about it is, Trelly, and that's probably the last one, and I gave it a 10 out of 10 as well, because I've seen fisheries, and I don't know the exact details of how it's ended up as it is, but you've got you lost the executive director, you lost the director of fisheries management probably nearly 2 years ago now. And there's all these guys, and I'm talking hard-working guys, Anthony Forster, Brian Mottram, Richard Regala, very, very good people in fisheries management. And these guys, they're in acting director this or acting manager that. There's been all this acting, and I don't mean this in an offensive way, but I think the structure the organisational structure of fisheries has been very unsettled for probably a couple of years, or close to a couple of years now. They just need to fix it, and I think this statutory authority comes in, clean sweep to sort out who's in whose role.
Yep.
That's just my opinion. I'm just giving it 10 out of 10. They need to get on with it.
And model it on something that's successful.
Yep. Coming up on Talking Fishing, this week's hotspots and what's coming up on C31 Fishing right after this.
Talking fishing. Talking fishing.
Hello, Richie Minnow here. It's now time for this week's fishing hotspots on Talking Fishing. Marvellous.
There.
Understand.
We're on, Dave.
Are we back on?
We're on.
Sorry.
Hey, Charlie, we're on.
I was just talking there. Boys, hotspots. We've got some great hotspots. Carrum is number one.
Yeah, gummies.
Gummies,
We saw
can you
from
believe
Catch of the
that?
Week. Not just snapper, but these whopping big gummies getting around out in the deep water too. So Carrum's a place to be.
Absolutely. And I think we'll see, like we said earlier on, 18 degrees, some really good snapper being caught as well.
Yeah, that's it. And realistically, it's going to be the snapper, which everyone's congregating there for, and rightly so. I think that gummy shark was one of those crazy bycatches you see that come with spending a bit of time on the water. So 18 metres carry.
Usually on your whiting rod.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the one light rod down for a yakka.
Second hotspot, boys, Altona. Pretty big catches off there as well, and I think very, very busy come the good days. Very, very busy off Altona now.
Yeah, we've had some good reports in from Altona, and like we were talking earlier, I mean, a lot of people are focusing on the snapper, but we're seeing some really good squid come out at the moment. So, 1.5 kilo squid.
Yeah,
so,
up that top end.
Yeah, so they're you've got to focus.
Looking at the graphs,
focus too much.
some of the temperatures getting up around that 19 degrees now, so it's starting to really warm up that northern end, so which is pretty good. Rye, boys, another good one, rye.
Yeah, so
a few gummies starting to get around now.
Yeah, so Dave, you're probably the best to answer this one actually, because you spend a bit of time down there on the weekends. But it's all going to start happening there. The snapper is starting to come out from the middle of the bay there.
Yep.
The whiting are going to start to move in big numbers around the moorings and places like that. And the calamari are always running there year round. So
Absolutely. Boys, number 4, silver leaves.
There's big snapper there.
I actually wrote that before we had Catch of the Week come in, and it's just one of those places now. It's like a highway, a lot of snapper moving through that area, and just a sensational place.
It's been probably one of the more consistent places in the port all season. So don't write it off.
All right, and number 5, the middle spit.
Whiting City.
I know we shouldn't be talking about it, but it's some massive whiting being caught.
Yep, Whiting City. This is going to go mental.
Yeah.
This is going to go off.
Yeah.
We've had such a great start to the whiting season.
What are you catching them
better.
on?
Whatever you want. Pippies,
really?
whiting worm, mussels.
Yeah, price of pippy's gone up too, Trelly, so just to please all the whiting fishermen. But the whiting worm that we've got, there's some sensational worm that you can get these days that is just, caught on the beaches, caught on the surf beaches, and absolutely fantastic whiting baits. Mussels, always a great bait, but
Pump your own bash yabbies.
Right now, I'd have to say number 1 would be fresh squid strips. And if you've never seen it, a lot of guys they think fresh is out of their freezer that they caught maybe last week, but that's not the case.
Catch your squid on the spit.
Yeah, that's right.
They get up in the shallows there. There's heaps of them.
And I think I learned a bit of Jesse Caulfield ads. And Geoff, jump in if you want to join in on the whiting baits. But almost, I tell people the shape of a matchstick. Yep. That's the shape of a squid strip you want to do. Just a very fine thing. And if you've got them biting, they just absolutely love that.
It's like spaghetti, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And Trelly, you might want to talk about this one. Lake Epilock is the 6th hotspot. Just sensational.
Lake Epilock's one of those, it's got a lot of little arms and things like that, so it's actually a really pretty lake to actually fish. A lot of the guys over there, were we talking redfin, or were we talking, because it's usually a good redfin as far as...
Mark Ainsworth will kill me, but he saw some really... he caught some very, very good yellow belly during the weekend.
I think it's very similar to Eildon, the way you fish it.
Yeah.
If you fish Eildon, you can fish Lake Epilock the same. So you find those big rocky banks.
Yep.
You can trawl the big rocky banks. You can actually throw vibes in and work them down.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we're still getting reports from Eildon, which would probably be very similar to Epilock. You catch one big yellow belly like you experienced, Adam, and the other one will come up beside it.
Yep.
It's still going 29, they're still catching some nice stuff around, but Lake Eploc's a pretty like to fish.
Cod?
Cod at the moment, look, it's all over the place at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys have gone everywhere. So, we mentioned last week Nalakuti, had a couple of reports in from there. Up at the Murray, it's probably still a little bit early because it's only been open a day and a half basically. Yeah. But the lead up to it has been a lot of cod caught, so I imagine it's still happening.
Yep. That's it for the hot spots, boys. There's some really good spots. Geoff, we've got a few minutes. You want to say some final words about words about Toolondo?
Yeah, well, just something Tash touched on early in her piece is that you think of the memories that she spoke about, the memories that she creates on the lake. My best memories on the lake, I've been very fortunate to have two sons, about 20 years apart, but they've both been fortunate enough to have hundreds of days out in the lake with us. We've always had a ball. But one of the best things I think is I've had three generations, my son, and granddaughters and myself in the boat at the same time, and then my daughter and my grandsons. And if you ever see the look on a little 3-year-old's fish as you help him reel in a fish that's bigger than him, it's like gold. Yeah. And just hope Mr. What's his name?
Mr. Andrews, if you want to call him that.
Well, he's pretty new.
The new minister.
I was going right till then.
Yeah.
We just hope Mr. Andrews and his boys and the new water minister and
girls,
fisheries guide, girls hopefully, will have got a bit more vision than this last mob because they really honestly did not give a rat's.
Yeah, yeah.
And every old picture album you look at, there's always a picture of a kid with a fish.
Yeah,
as long as you like, isn't it?
Isn't there? Yeah.
Look at that. Remember that?
Yeah.
They'll always remember it.
Yeah. Geoff, when was the last time you fished it?
About Cup weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I spent about a week up there and slowly looked at the water going down and convinced myself that there was still worth living, but it's hard to watch. I'll tell you one quick little thing.
Yeah.
The grandkids and that were up there. We've got one little guy, little dingo, he's about 3 years old.
Yeah.
And it was time to go. And he's down at the edge of the water. And I went down to get him. He said, "Come on, mate, we've got to go in the car." And he just sat there looking at me. You know what he said? He said, "Granddad, why are they letting all the water go away?"
Yeah.
I couldn't answer
him. How do you answer that?
Yeah, I couldn't answer him. I had put my sunglasses on, grabbed him by the hand, and took him back and watched him drive down the road.
Mm. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trell, have you ever... I mean, you've been around a long time, 30 years in the tackle trade, and that. Have you seen anything like this? It was...
Yeah, there was a huge issue with McCowan.
McCowan, that's what I was trying to think
of. When they deregulated McCowan, we had the local club over there, the Tadon Club, with some very passionate guys that pulled a lot of the Murray cod out of that lake before it was actually went dry, and a lot of fish died. Yeah. So I know what you mean. A lot of these lakes do naturally dry.
I remember seeing photos that had a big cod left in puddles, and they actually asked anglers to try and do something.
Get them, put them in dams, anything.
There was a lot of resistance by government then, and it was a different government then.
Yeah, the Greenies would let you move it from there to there to save it.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, you remember that too?
Yep. I'm pretty old.
Yeah. So let's just hope, and it is a bit of hope because there's been no promises made. I mean, there's been a few statements being made about, we'll get committees and that together, and I think that's all about the long term. Yeah. Short term,
we haven't got the time.
No, there's no time.
Someone open the gate.
We've got 2-3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, Geoff, if you're saying that the water's there running past it now, it's got to happen now, don't they? Just got to open the gate and...
They just got to open it. It's been there for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And 1 week of that flow we wouldn't be here sitting here talking about.
No. All right, stay tuned. But coming up on C31 this week, there's some great shows. Tomorrow morning, 6:30 in the morning, On the Fly. Thursday, 6:30 in the morning, Australian Fishing Network. So if you want your little fishing fix before you go to work, there it is, 6:30 in the morning. 10 o'clock on Thursday night, On the Fly again. On the Fly's getting a really great airing at the moment. Friday, 6:30 in the morning, Catch and Cook, 7 a.m. On the Fly. And on Saturday, 10 a.m. On the Fly, 10:30 Savage Seas Adventures, 11 a.m. Australian Fishing Network, 11:30 That's Fishing, 12 noon Catch and Cook, bit of an extravaganza there, if I may say, and then 6:30 That's Fishing, 7 o'clock Fishing Down Under, 7:30 Australian Fishing Network. So pretty good. There's some pretty good fishing shows everywhere up there, and plenty of fishing on C31. I know we had some comments about, there's a couple of shows not at the moment, but absolute beautiful shows to watch, and it's all good. That's it for Talking Fishing. Hope you enjoyed the show. Next week, we should know who the new Fisheries Minister is. We might even try and get him in on the studio. Until then, have a great week and enjoy your fishing.
We got all you need, just take a look. Watch those fish jump on your hook. So just relax and take your time. Enjoy the show, then drop us a line. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing. Talking fishing.